Let me tell y'all the story about how I almost beat this guy up. That's not true. Okay, I didn't beat anyone up. I didn't almost beat anyone up. He did deserve to get beat up for what he said to me, okay? And I promise I'm not being dramatic. Okay, maybe I'm being dramatic. So imagine this. I'm sitting down at my college campus. I'm chilling. And this guy, he walks up to me and he's like, "Oh, hi," and I'm reading a book. So he's like, "Oh, I see that you're reading. Can I ask what you're reading?" And I'm like, "Sure, you know what? Like, yeah." So I tell him, I can't remember what I was reading, but it was a fantasy book for sure. Favorite genre, hands down. Always reading a fantasy book. Okay. So he tells me, he's like, "Oh, like, yeah, I'm reading." I think he was reading like Animal Farm or something. It was either Animal Farm or Fahrenheit 451. But it was one of those books, like, it was very like, like governmental control. And I think Fahrenheit 451 is like burning books, then of course like Animal Farm. So it was one of those books that's like takes on much of a more like serious historical tone. So he's talking to me and I'm like, "Oh yeah," he asked me if my book is good. So I'm like, "Oh, like it is, like I'm enjoying it, da 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 da." Like I was like, "Oh yeah, sometimes fantasy books are like unpredictable. You don't know if it's gonna be good or bad." And he tells me your taste really starts to mature, like you don't have to worry about that. Like when your taste in books starts to mature, you don't have to worry about being a hit or miss because like you only pick up hit books or whatever. Like I was so taken aback because genuinely like, are you saying like my taste in books is like immature, like kiddish, like dramatic? But it's like you came up to me and then you're like dissing the book I was reading. And it's like, yeah. And he was just like, "Oh, okay." He was trying to give me like recommendations after that. Like, I'm not vibing with you, sir. You're weird. And I think what gave him the gall and the confidence to do that is because he perceived the book I was reading as kind of less intelligent or less of a thought-provoking book than he was reading. Brian Alexander actually writes a great article about this, and it's about the elitism of book choice. It reads, "Many readers recall being told that science fiction, fantasy, or horror were not real literature. A subset of realistic literature is, in fact, real lit. To dismiss the genre is to identify and elevate one's own taste. It's almost an act of virtual signaling." It's that virtual signaling that I kind of want to focus on today and talk about pretentious intellectuals, people who think that their taste and what they do outwardly qualifies them as more intelligent than other people. It's more than just book choice. People have used perceived intelligence to look down on others for decades, generations, centuries. It's all about the heuristics of decisions. Now, heuristics is a rule or piece of information used in enabling problem solving or decision making. We use indicators like how someone dresses, what someone reads, what someone looks like to determine whether or not that person is worth listening to. Happens all over our societies across the world. In Western societies, this often equals proximity to whiteness. This is things that we've been made to believe signify intelligence, they signify wealth, they signify intellect. Think about the quarter zip trend. Not saying the trend is, bad, but it does serve into this virtual signaling of people trying to be perceived as more intelligent by what they wear. There's this trend on TikTok after the Kennedy documentary came out where people were kind of dressing, what they consider like old money, dark academia aesthetics that kind of thrive on these false heuristics. People really like to dress, in a certain way, kind of like the Kennedys, like presidential to indicate that they have status or to indicate that they're someone who should be listened to because they dress a certain way. And you wonder, it's the same clothes, so why is it that it doesn't signify wealth the way that dressing in, an old aesthetic and things might do for people who are a lighter skin tone? So it brings up a lot of things like that, especially in Western societies when we consider colorism and how people are using physical indicators to determine who it is that should be listened to. Now, this, of course, signifies a larger context. It's the loss of voice and opinion for many people. People don't take you seriously based on what you wear, what you like, your interest. For my fellow whimsical girls who are also very intelligent, people might not take me seriously because I'm wearing a flowy skirt, but trust, I know what I'm talking about. But it's things of that nature. People's opinion can be skewed just based on how you look or based on what you decide to read, based on the music you listen to. It gives people indicators on whether or not they should listen to you or value your opinion, which isn't the way it should be. I know everyone knows someone who thinks that, the thoughts that they say and the things that they think are just so profound just because, I dress a certain way and I don't associate with this because this is just not classy or it's not, a deep thought and da 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 da. They're thriving off of these heuristics. They're thriving off of these indicators of this is something that should be listened to. I read Fahrenheit 451, so I'm better than that girl who reads fantasy books. Sorry. Sorry, guys. When we look at pretentious intellectualism, it indicates societal change. What societies believe are the most important or the things that are deserving of intellectual thought determines where a society is heading. A lot of people believes that the only mediums worth listening to or the only things worth listening to are the things that are marked as traditionally intellectual. Think about the conundrum between humanity majors and STEM majors. Things that are marked as intellectual like engineering, medicine, things of that nature are seen as more of a worthy pursuit than your communication, your arts, your English, even though both of them thrive to serve and uplift a society. Smartness has become a scale in our society. It's no longer about listening to the quality of people's conversation, but what they look like. And if you look a certain way, you pass these certain indicators, it doesn't matter what you say, it's taken as intelligent. And the same is true on the opposite spectrum. If you don't match up to what people want to see, if you don't match up to what people look like or what they perceive as intelligent, it doesn't matter if what you're saying makes sense. They don't take you serious. This is, of course, rooted in what I talked before in elitism and classism and racism. I believe that something can be learned from almost anyone. Do not judge a book by its cover. Humanities and thought and just being your own person and not worrying about these heuristics of intelligence make you more intelligent. Intellect is not born, it's learned through reading, through studying, through truly living different life experiences. You're not intellectual because you only do things that are logical or analytical. You're intellectual by interacting with your world and listening to all people from all different walks of life and truly beginning to sit and understand. And I believe everyone is someone. If you're someone who you find yourself judging people or judging what is meaningful based off the way someone dresses or the way someone is, I encourage you to look deeper. Everyone is someone, and I believe that something can be learned from for us to identify the roots that racism and classism can thrive in. A lot of times, something that starts out as just a simple, more pretentious statement can often have roots in something that is way deeper. As always, everyone, go and be you. My name is Divine Uche. I do video essays and social commentary off of whatever it is I want to talk about that week. As you see, this week I was just in the mood to talk about something that really irritated me. Yes, I want to read a fantasy book, okay? Do you know how many deep thoughts can be inspired by fantasy? Do you know how many world building systems are built, classism, racism, and how it's addressed in a wonderfully amazing fantasy book? Like my little romance sprinkled in there, like, what's a girl gotta do? What's a girl gotta do? Like, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully, guys, if you agree or if you have anything to add, leave it in the comments below. And I'll see y'all later.